Some stories were never meant to be told, buried in shadows, whispered in prayer, and hidden behind holy walls. There lies a presence, ancient, mocking, and merciless. Tonight we don't just watch the horror, we walk into it. Welcome to Sounds of the Unknown. They say demons wear many faces, but none as chilling as that of a nun. When audiences watched The Nun, the terrifying spin-off from the Conjuring universe, they were introduced to Valak, the demon nun with a face like death and eyes that bore into your soul. But what if I told you that this wasn't just Hollywood horror? What if that sinister, habit-clad figure had roots in something real, something ancient, something dark, something hidden in plain sight? This is the true story behind The Nun, a tale of possession, sacred grounds desecrated, and the demon who took the form of holiness to mock the divine. Before The Nun ever appeared in theaters, the demon at the center of the film had already existed for centuries, buried deep in medieval grimoires and forbidden texts. The name Valak first appears in a 17th century demonology text known as the Lesser Key of Solomon. Described as the 62nd demon of the Ars Goetia, Valak was said to appear as a child with angelic wings, riding a two-headed dragon. He had command over 38 legions of demons. He could reveal hidden treasures. He could uncover secrets buried deep within the earth. And yet, no one ever described him as a nun. So why the drastic change? Why the face of a holy woman? For that, we must look at something far more disturbing than any ancient book, a real-life series of events that took place behind convent walls. France, 1634. A quiet town named Loudun was about to become the center of one of the most chilling mass possessions in history. In the heart of the town stood a convent of Ursuline nuns. These women had dedicated their lives to God. But suddenly, something changed. Strange behaviors began to surface. Nightly screams echoed through the halls. Nuns claimed they were being tormented by invisible forces. But this wasn't just hysteria. The women began to speak in languages they had never learned. They contorted their bodies in unnatural ways. They described vivid, grotesque visions of demonic entities entering their rooms at night, sometimes appearing in the guise of a priest, sometimes in other unholy forms. When exorcists were called in, one name kept surfacing: Asmodai, a high-ranking demon of lust. But some testimonies were different. One or two of the nuns spoke of another presence, a quiet shadow that didn't shout or rage, but smiled. A presence that wore the very habit they wore, that moved like them, talked like them, and whispered blasphemies in their ears. Though the records never name Valak directly, demonologists argue that the impersonation of a nun itself was significant. Inverting sacred roles was a known strategy of demons, mimicry as mockery. Could Valak have been present in Loudun, hiding among the ranks of the possessed? Fast forward to the mid-20th century. Deep in the forests of Romania, near the border of Transylvania, there stands a crumbling abbey, rumored to have been the inspiration for the abbey in The Nun. According to locals during World War II, something was uncovered beneath the foundation of the abbey, a crypt sealed shut with crosses and ancient markings. Inside were bones, strange symbols, and a sense of something wrong. Soon after, the nuns who lived there began to suffer terrifying visions. Some claimed to see a figure in their dreams, a nun with black eyes and no mouth. Others were found praying compulsively in the dark, whispering words in Latin that made no sense. One nun reportedly took her own life by hanging in the abbey courtyard. The priest sent to investigate vanished without a trace. The Vatican, according to whispers, sent 2 clerics to cleanse the site. Only one returned. His name was Father Marcel, and in his personal writings, later leaked online, he described a confrontation not with a ghost, but with a demon. A demon that wore the face of the dead nun, that knew his name, that promised to follow him, even to Rome. He named it only once in his journal, Valak. Ed and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators and demonologists, claim to have faced some of the most powerful spirits in the world. Among their most famous cases, the Amityville haunting, the Perron family, and the Enfield poltergeist. But few know that Lorraine Warren had visions of the nun long before the movie was made. In interviews, she spoke of a demonic entity that tormented her dreams for months. It wasn't a random image, it was persistent. This nun, she said, would appear standing at the end of her hallway, silent, still, and radiating hatred. I could feel her hatred for me, Lorraine said, for the work we did, for our faith. She claimed the vision was so strong that she asked her husband, Ed, to paint the image so she could confront it. That painting hung in their occult museum in Connecticut. Yes, the same museum that inspired Annabelle. Visitors often said the room containing the nun painting felt colder, heavier, more watched. Even years later, after the Warrens had passed, caretakers of the museum refused to be in the room alone at night. When The Nun was released in 2018, it shocked audiences not just with jump scares, but with its unrelenting darkness. The cloisters, the crosses, the figure of Valak, cloaked as a nun, smiling through shadows. But what struck many researchers and theologians was how close it came to the real law. The desecrated abbey, the idea of demons inhabiting holy ground, the notion of a demon taking a sacred form to sow confusion, and the use of relics, prayer, and exorcism as desperate tools to keep the evil at bay. In one scene, a character says, "The demon in the habit seeks to destroy our faith by appearing holy." That's not just script writing, that's doctrine. The Catholic Church teaches that demonic forces often attempt to confuse and twist, to make the holy seem evil and the evil seem divine. So when people laugh off the idea of a demon nun as Hollywood fantasy, they forget centuries of belief in spirits that mock God, not through horror, but through imitation. Since the release of The Nun, there's been an eerie uptick in people claiming to see her. Some say she appeared at the foot of their beds during sleep paralysis. Others report glimpses of a nun standing at the back of a church, even when no such figure was present. One chilling account came from a nurse working at a hospital near the Vatican. She claimed that a patient undergoing exorcism whispered in her ear, "Sister Valak says hello." She had never heard the name before. And then there's the footage, a tourist in Romania visiting an old church in the Carpathians, caught on camera what appeared to be a figure standing in the shadows, pale face, black habit, unmoving. She wasn't there when they entered. She wasn't in any of the other photos, just that one. So is the demon nun real? That depends on what you believe. But here's what's undeniable. The name Valak appears in real demonic texts dating back hundreds of years. Historical cases of possession, like Loudun, contain disturbing parallels to the film. Religious investigators and even the Warrens encountered something that took on the image of a nun, and even today people claim to be haunted by her. What makes this story so terrifying isn't just the scares, it's that it wears the familiar as a mask. We trust the image of a nun. It's a symbol of peace, of protection, of purity. But when that image turns, when it smiles with too many teeth, when it whispers in tongues, it becomes something far more dangerous than a monster. It becomes betrayal. If this story haunted you, imagine what's still left untold, like the video if you felt the chill. Subscribe for more true tales that lurk in the dark. And ring the bell, so the next time the shadows whisper, you'll be the first to hear them. Thanks for watching Sounds of the Unknown.